Hello and welcome to 9-inch Charge. Today we're going to have a look at the humble battle mage from Cities of Sigmar. Now he is quite a basic wizard. He can only cast or dispel one spell a turn, doesn't get many benefits to his casting and is just 115 points, but actually he's got 8 different spells at his disposal to choose from and is really quite a toolbox. So we're going to have a look at some basic stats and have a look at these 8 different spells and then rank them in terms of their usefulness. Masters of the Arcane Arts, the grizzled battle mages of the Collegiate Arcane summon lethal storms of magic to lay waste to their foes and shield their comrades from harm with protective enchantments. They have a move characteristic of 5, 5 wounds, a bravery of 6, and a 6+ save. So 5 wounds and a 6+ save makes them pretty fragile. You're going to want to keep them near a unit so you can use Lookout Sir, or try to keep them out of line of sight of something that's shooting or you think might target them. With a bit of bubble wrapping, they'll probably be okay. They're armed with a wizard staff that has a 2-inch range, 1 attacks, 4s to hit, 3s to wound, a rend of 1, and a damage of D3. It's 1 attack and it hits on a 4, so it's 50-50 whether or not it's going to hit before you even wound to try and get through armor and ward saves and all this kinds of stuff. So they're not really someone who you're going to want to put into combat, let's be honest. They have the keywords Order, Human, Cities of Sigmar, Collegiate Arcane, Hero, Wizard, and Battle Mage. And as a wizard, they can cast 1 spell in your hero phase and attempt to unbind 1 spell in the enemy hero phase. In addition, this model knows a spell from this war scroll that includes the name of the realm that it comes from. For example, battle mages that come from Azure know Chained Lightning, and we'll come on to that later on. The other ability that they have is Magic of the Realms. Battle mages are as varied as the mortal realms themselves, and each knows how to harness the arcane might of the land they call home. When you select this model to be part of your army, you must choose a realm that your battle mage comes from. You can choose one of the following realms: Akshi, Azure, Chamon, Gur, Gairan, Haish, Shaiish, or Olgu. Add 1 to the casting rolls for this model if the battle is taking place in the realm that it comes from. So we know that in Age of Sigmar 3rd edition, all the battles are taking place in the realm of Gur, the realm of beasts. So when we come to that spell, we'll have to remember that we get +1 for casting rolls for that realm. Okay, so let's have a look at these 8 spells. Firstly, we have Chain Lightning from Azure. Lightning bursts from the wizard's fingertips and arcs towards the enemy with crackling fury. Chain Lightning has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. Then roll a dice for every other enemy unit within 6 inches of the original target. On a 4+, that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So the things I like about this spell is that for a 6 it's quite easy to cast, it has a nice long range of 18 inches, and its mortal wound output is pretty solid as well. I think D3 mortal wounds is nice because it has the chance then to go off again and again. And you can envisage a situation where someone's got a unit that's surrounded perhaps by 3 or 4 other units, and then you've got potential again, 50% chance to do it to the other units. So there's a good chance you could snag something else like a hero or something like that along with the unit. The next spell is Fireball from the realm of Akshi. The wizard claps their hands, conjuring a small orb of flame that they hurl to their foe. Fireball has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. If the unit has 1 model, it suffers 1 mortal wound. If it has 2 to 9 models, it suffers D3 mortal wounds. And if it has 10 or more models, it suffers D6 mortal wounds. Now this is easier to cast than Chain Lightning, and has the potential to do more damage, because you can do D6 mortal wounds, and Chain Lightning only ever does D3, but Chain Lightning can jump and Fireball can't. For my money, I think that Chain Lightning is just that little bit more consistent. You know you're always going to get D3 mortal wounds. You're not going to swing between 1 and D6. For me, I prefer Chain Lightning because it can be a little bit more scary for your opponent as well, and overreaching, and you never know how you're going to go with it. Fireball is preferable if you know you're going up against a horde army and you want to start whittling them down. 2 fire mages doing 2d6 mortal wounds a turn to a big unit is absolutely nothing to be sniffed at. Next is Mystifying Miasma from Olgu. The wizard creates a numbing fog that causes their foolish foes to listlessly stagger and stumble. Mystifying Miasma has a casting value of 4. If successfully cast, pick 1 enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. That unit cannot run until your next hero phase. In addition, subtract 2 from charge rolls from that unit until your next hero phase. This is pretty situational because there are only going to be certain times when you're going to want to stop a unit from running, but there's always going to be times when you want to deal damage to a unit. Having them able to reduce the charge roll of an enemy unit by 2 is pretty good, because a unit failing their charge can be game ending. I suppose as can stopping a unit from running onto an objective, but these are quite situational. So I think there's times when this unit is really going to shine and, as I said, can change the game entirely, but there are going to be times when this spell just isn't going to be used. Next is Pile of Doom from Shaiish. A cloud of terrifying darkness pulls forth and engulfs the wizard's foes. Pile of Doom has a casting value of 6. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Subtract 2 from the bravery characteristic of that unit until your next hero phase. This is probably the one that I would never ever take, if I'm honest, because reducing your enemy's bravery is good and all when it comes to battle shock, but for one command point you can make a unit immune to battle shock and just completely nullify the spell altogether. So I think this is probably the worst one and I would avoid. Next is Fuzz Protection, and this is a battle mage from Shaiish. The wizard calls upon the beneficent guardians of light to protect their allies from harm. Fuzz Protection has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick one friendly unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target that unit until your next hero phase. I really rate this. This is only cast on a 5. Straight away can nullify your opponent's all-out attack, and hitting for me is the most important roll that you make in combat. You can really start to reduce the amount of damage that comes through. It's especially good if you play a defensive army. I've used this in the past well with a Frostheart Phoenix, so you have the Aura of the Phoenix, which is -1 to wound, and then you have Fuzz Protection from your Battle Mage for -1 to hit, and that really makes your units difficult to move. This one I think is really well worth taking. Next is Shield of Thorns from Gairan, the Realm of Life. At the wizard's command, crawling brambles burst from the ground, forming a living barrier around their allies. Shield of Thorns has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick one friendly unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Until your next hero phase, any enemy that finishes a charge move within 3 inches of that unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. This is one that I probably wouldn't take, to be honest, because again, it's situational. It's depending on if your opponent wants to charge that unit or not. I don't think D3 mortal wounds is enough to really make them think twice about whether or not they want to charge your units. And you can end up casting it and then they'll just charge something else anyway. So again, this is a bit of an ignore one for me, which is a bit of a shame because the Realm of Life is my favourite realm. Next up is the Transmutation of Lead from the Realm of Metal, Shaman. As the wizard gestures at their foes, their weapons and armour become significantly heavier and more cumbersome. Transmutation of Lead has a casting value of 7. If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Until your next hero phase, you can halve the move characteristic of the unit you have picked rounding up, and in addition, if that unit has a save characteristic of 2+, 3+, or 4+, you can reroll hit rolls of 1 for attacks that target that unit until your next hero phase. I think this spell is absolutely brilliant. It's one of the more difficult ones to cast because it's cast on a 7. However, firstly, being able to halve an enemy unit's movement characteristic is really great. Very significant on a monster or something like that, especially something with fly that you think is going to get into you or get into your back lines or is a very quick mover. And the second half of the spell is brilliant as well. So if they have a save of 2, 3, or 4+, you can re-roll hit rolls of 1 for attacks that target that unit until your next hero phase. What's really significant about this is that there aren't many things left in the game now that give you re-rolls. There's lots of pluses and minuses, but not rerolls. So you can combine this with all-out attack to get +1 to hit and rerolling ones against a unit. And it's not limited to only in the combat phase. So you can cast a set a unit across the table 18 inches away and then gain all the benefits in your next shooting phase when you target the unit. So I really rate this one, that's for sure. And the last spell is Wild Form from the Realm of Gur. So let's remember we get +1 to cast this one. The wizard transforms their allies into swift-moving bestial forms. Wild Form has a casting value of 5. If successfully cast, pick one friendly unit within 12 inches of the caster that is visible to them. Add 2 to run and charge rolls for that unit until your next hero phase. This is especially good for units that carry the run and charge roll. There's not many of those in the game at the moment. And can pair quite well with chronomatic cogs that give +1 to charge rolls. Again, though, it's situational. Not necessarily going to need those pluses to your runs and charges in every single turn of the game. And also for a command point, you can make your run a 6 or you can re-roll your charge. So I don't really think it's that useful if I'm honest. Okay, so that's all of them done. So let's have a look at our rankings. So at the top here, we've got something like Chain Lightning, Fuzz Protection, and Transmutation of Lead. At the bottom we've got Pile of Doom, Wild Form, and Shield of Thorns, with the rest hovering in the middle. Let me know what you think of this order. Let me know what battle mage is your go-to battle mage. Let me know your greatest successes and spellcasts that you've had. Let me know especially any combos that you found out. What do these spells work well with in your army? Thank you very much for watching. Thank you especially to everybody who made it all the way to the end. This has been 9 Inch Charge. Be sure to like and subscribe and comment, and I will catch you next time.